Good morning. Good morning, people of the world, cyclists of the world, athletes of the world, just people of the world trying to up their game, trying to get better at whatever it is they're doing, trying to be the best me that they can be. The best me I can be. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, can't go that low. Yeah. So it's the morning after the eighth attempt round the tough, challenging, hardcore, extreme gravel Gralik race route yesterday in training. I've done it one time in the race, obviously 7 times round in training, and you would hope that you would get better. It did say trending faster on Strava, and then yesterday we were a bit mediocre. I wouldn't say mediocre. It's you have to let's just break that down. You got to break it down. Addressing vulnerabilities, as Doc Snipes would say. Incidentally, the amount of check out Doc Snipes. She's got good stuff. It's all counselling, education, it's as much for the professionals as it is for the clients. That you learn a lot from her presentations. One of the best presenters I've seen on YouTube, to be quite honest with you. She's up there with Robert Lustig, the guy trying to save the world on the biggest pressing issue facing humanity, the health of the fucking world. We're all killing ourselves by eating junk food, and I'm no different. But you allow yourself one time in the week. If you can't allow yourself a little treat, and it is a treat because their breakfasts are brilliant. If you can't allow yourself a treat once a week, especially when you're training hard and everything, then when can you? But anyway, I just like to talk about addressing vulnerabilities. I didn't sleep last night very well, right? And this is one of the problems with me, right? I know this about myself. After a hard, long, tough effort, right? I struggle to sleep sometimes in the evening, struggle to switch it off, the adrenaline, the endorphins flowing. Sometimes you can be so tired that you're awake. And again, Doc Snipes could probably break that down in terms of the dysregulated HPA axis, and how things get a little bit out of whack. But anyway, get back to the point, Dave, about addressing vulnerabilities. I thought yesterday I was going to go faster, as I said, trending faster, and the plan was to fly down the descents, and I wanted to hit like 17 mile an hour. I thought that would be doable, or at least 16.5, something like that. I've not been doing mountain biking my whole life. I'm a road guy that's converted to gravel. I'm still doing the road, but I've converted to the gravel. Incidentally, that's a little bit like that. There's a pro on the don't know his name, but the pro doing the gravel riding now, and he was entering the Gralik, and he is a former ex-pro on the road, so it just shows it can be done. You can convert to the rough stuff. It just requires a bit more skill, so that's what I'm trying to do. But anyway, in terms of the vulnerabilities, leading up to it, I've said before in some of my videos, in some of my live Facebook things, I do these quite a lot, and a lot of times no one listens, but still know what I'm talking about, so it's beneficial for me. It helps me, art is a leveler, whatever. It helps me come to terms with certain things. But one of the things I said in one of my presentations, I want to call it presentation, stream of consciousness, stream of bullshit, it's all bullshit, hashtag bullshit. One of the things I said was, I'm a victim sometimes of being too passionate and too enthusiastic. I used to have, if you travel back 3 or 4 years, I had this really bad anxiety disorder. And it was just partly responsible by social media that I'd just recently joined. Anxiety posting up a load of bullshit and then going, why did you post that? You just made a tit of yourself, and it would affect me quite badly. It actually affected me physically, that I couldn't train properly. It affected my actual physical health and my athletic health. So that was quite difficult to deal with, and I finally got over it. But recently there's been a lot of stuff going on and a bit of excitement to do with various things happening, and feeling like the cycling is, I'm just about to reach that next level. So what I tend to do is I kind of help this about myself, and I'm trying to temper it with meditation and all the other things, right? Is I get excited for like a big ride or a big event or something, and then the nerves, and I get sort of ramped up. What didn't help was going around to see my old coach, mentor, guru, Terry from up the road from back in the day, and he sort of ramped me up. You know, he was sort of, it's the sparks were flying, just the energy in the room. That's what happens, the chemistry, when you have two people that are this like-minded and share the same passion for the sport. And it just ramped me up like Mike Tyson's coach, you know, and I was like an animal ready to go. And then I said to him, I kind of joked about it, I said, what am I going to do, Terry? You've ramped me up, I need to calm it. And he handed me a pile of cycling magazines and said, go and chill, you know. That's what I need to do, chill. So what happened was lack of sleep, and then being ramped up too much, and anxiety kind of kicking again. And then it actually affected me on the ride. The first 30 miles, this is what's so crazy, right? Despite having ramped myself up, the first 30 miles, I felt like I had all these cobwebs that I needed to brush away. I wasn't even alive, you know, like Chad Smith says, you know, slam from the first beat, warm up properly and do it. But it took me 30 miles to get properly into it, and my brain was nowhere near, and you could feel it physically. And I'm like, how am I supposed to go around this full route physically the way I'm in? But again, the experience comes in. You just tell yourself, well, I've done it before. I know how to, through experience, I've had some amazingly scintillating rides where the first half has been dog shit, and then I've ended up coming to life. So given that knowledge of that sort of stuff, and with experience, I thought I could make it happen. And I did actually get into it physically near the end a little bit. And he was talking about, Terry as well, he was talking about fueling properly. That was important. That's a vulnerability. But I'm not talking so much about that. I'm talking more about your day-to-day life. How do you, this is what I've learned about all this training stuff, right? It's there's more to it than just training hard, adaptation, coming back stronger. It's more than that. There's all that relaxation, as Graham O'Brien said. Relaxation is crucial in your sporting performance. To quote him, some people are always tensed up about the sport, and then when they get to the actual event, they're drained. So that's really what happened there. I was, and it was excitement. It was nervous excitement. And I was going through a bit of personal turmoil the days before. I suppose you could call it a spiritual awakening or something, you know, just recognizing that your life force is expanding, and how do you keep this shit together, basically, how do you keep your mental health intact? So I'm basically going, despite the fact that I've struggled physically there because I let myself be affected by these things, right? Nevertheless, the post-ride analysis is positive. I'm going, well, at least I rode that particular storm, and I've come out the other side, strong, tempered steel, you know the deal. And the ride yesterday was probably beneficial in calming those nerves. You know, there's nothing like, you know, a 70-mile hard bike ride up the forest to put things into perspective. So we come back again and we do it again, and we'll try and do more of the kind of relaxation strut. Don't, like, if I can quote Bruce Dickinson from Iron Maiden, right? He said, the way in that documentary, you know, forget which tour it was, but he was saying that he thinks that they were interviewing them all about what they did, their pre-show ritual, and you could apply it to training. It's the same thing, you know, even a pre-training ride ritual, you know. And Bruce Dickinson said, the way I like to approach a show is to forget there's a show at all, you know. It's just relax and treat the day as normal. I think that's what's going to work for me, and I've tried to do that. my stepdad Bill talked about, just when he was talking about racing and stuff, he was saying, oh, just turn up, strut, show what you can do. It's about, it's time to just chill when you do a race, but that's true. And for training, it's the same thing. When you're building up, that's the problem. You get too intense in my head sometimes, and you build up to these things, and it affects me physically and mentally and actually pulls you down. So the best approach for me moving forward is to relax about the whole thing and just go, sort of be a little bit excited, but think about something else. Don't be so, intense. And I said that in my Strava, and some guy jumped in and offered a bit. I was talking about fueling correctly and resting enough, and I think that, to finish with this, right, that's a big thing. Resting properly. I didn't really, and I just realised how much I've not really been resting properly. It's all very well to go keep the blood moving and active rest, but then you do need actually days when you're doing fuck all and watching Netflix like any normal person would do. So I had one day off, and that was going to be the plan, and then going to fire around it on Sunday. But because I'd done 60 activities in the month, I'm going, well, 2 days. So I ended up going with the flow, and I took 2 days off, and that still wasn't enough. So really 3 days off would have been good, and I would have been on tip-top form for this ride. So there you go. Moving forward, you got to have your recalibration, not even recalibration, but you got to have your breaks. And anyone watch this, if anyone actually did watch this, they would know the whole deal. You know what I'm talking about. I mean, sometimes I watch, when I talk about this stuff and I watch the video, listen back to it, they're actually quite powerful meditations in and of themselves, and you go, right, remind yourself, Dave, it's about chilling out, not being so intense. You leave the intensity for when you're doing the thing. But if you're spending all your mental and emotional energy, your spiritual energy, I suppose you could call it, on getting tense and wound up and ramped up like you're going in to do then you're just going to sabotage it. And I didn't try to sabotage it. I was literally, in the lead up to this hard training ride, I was literally going, I know this is bullshit the way I'm feeling. I couldn't get out of it. I did my best, and on the day of, as I say, 30 miles in, I was like starting to feel human again. I was starting to feel like the cyclist I should be, but it was quite a difficult thing to negotiate. But again, I'll be philosophical and I'll go, well, you're learning. You're even learning now. It's amazing. You never stop learning. The things that you thought you'd got over still resurface every now and then. Anxiety disorder or whatever. It wasn't really an anxious. I don't even have the words to express what it was. It was a kind of intense energy that I couldn't. All this stuff going on in my mind, all this inspiration and stuff flying to me. It was like David Icke at Peru. I couldn't fucking keep the energy together. Couldn't keep myself together. But there's a wee lesson there. Don't let too much in. Might end up with full-blown psychotic episode or whatever. I don't know. We don't want that, do we? We want to be sane. We don't want to end up in the nut house, no harm to him, like Graham O'Brien. I mean, there's a warning for you. Look at Graham O'Brien, as astounding as an individual he is, right? His mental health was affected by trying too hard to do all these things, and there's a sacrifice, there's a price to pay for all this stuff. So moving forward, chill out a bit more, Dave. It's not the most important thing in the world. Yeah, when you're doing it, just go with the flow and let all this stuff happen. Do your best, but you can't be walking around, as Graham O'Brien said, tensed up thinking about your sport the whole time. That's just no good. So addressing vulnerabilities, and if anyone watches this, write down your own vulnerabilities below, and we'll start a wee support group or whatever. Yeah, cool. Yeah. Aye.